This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to DRTSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello and a warm welcome to Ravichandran Swaminathan-ji. Namaskaram, Vanakkam. We are extremely sorry for 10 minutes delay as it usually happens. We don't want to now, we are tired of complaining. But we are coming with the latest of the majoritarians, their faith, their belief and their sufferings in independent India. Right from 1947, how come in a democracy the belief of the majority still remains in a minority when it comes to the consideration of the rulers? What is that? We are going to discuss. Is this secularism? The secularism taint. Why I said taint? The constitution provides equijustice, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, region or otherwise. But when such is the case, how is that those who pray in mosques, churches and others, they have absolute freedom? And we respect it. We respect every religion. That is the beauty of our Sanatana Samskriti and Dharma. And that is the beauty of our great country like India. We say unity in diversity. But having said so, how long the majoritarians, the Hindus, should suffer sulking and feel betrayed when it comes to their belief, their gods and their prayers? Many make fun. You have so many gods, so many goddesses. We say, here also we have democracy, my dear. There is no imposition on this great Hindu culture. So today's topic is, when they have freedom to decide on their religions and faith and to run right from administrative to all religious activities, whether it is mosques, churches or otherwise, how is that our temples are not being run by our own Swamis? So that is the topic today. Ravichandran Swaminathan-ji, what a better way. He will expose the decisions or discussions had in Supreme Court to Tamil Nadu Madras High Court, which are going to become the fulcrum, the fundamental note for the entire country. Welcome, sir. I'm making you a presenter. Making you a presenter, kindly go ahead. Yes, sir, you are the presenter.
Good evening, Dr. Reddy. And thank you once again for having me on your show. Today we will be talking about temples, the new Kamadhenu. Now, why did I choose the title Temples in New Kamadhenu? In our own Hindu scriptures, there was a king called Kausikan, who was later called Vishwamitra. Now, when Kausikan went to Vashishta Rishi's ashramam, he and his army were given a huge feast by Vashishta. And Kausikan was very surprised because this ashram was in the midst of a forest. Nothing was available there, but yet this poor old rishi was able to give such a huge feast. So he was surprised. So he asked Vashishta, what is the secret behind this feast? Then Vashishta told him, I have a cow called Kamadhenu, Nandini, which is the calf of Kamadhenu. And whatever I ask, she will give me. And he showed Kausikan, that king, Nandini the calf. And immediately, Kausikan also, like our government, wanted to seize it. So that is the first instance. So this is in our DNA. The government always wants to seize whatever is giving them wealth or riches or whatever. Milch cow, correct. So today, temples have a lot of money, so government is after the temples. That is why I gave this title, Temples, the New Kamadhenu, and instead of one Kausikan, we have several Kausikans all over the place. But unfortunately, I don't know whether they will become Vishwamitras. That I am not prepared to take a risk on that. Because today, Brahmin is a bad word now. So I doubt whether they will want to become Brahma Rishis. Now, we have a preamble in the Constitution. Now, according to the Constitution, the job of the Supreme Court is to interpret the Constitution. They can only interpret the Constitution, but it should be done without any bias, without their personal bent of mind should not be reflected in such judgments. So, I don't know whether it is going to be my Lord's word or the Lord's word, which is going to apply here. And in this preamble, it very clearly says, "We, the people of India, having solemnly," and the words socialist and secular was not there in the Constitution when it was passed in 1950. Socialist and secular were additions made by Indira Gandhi during emergency without any discussion, without a parliament also being in force. It was the 42nd Amendment. Because the word socialist and secular was not incorporated in the Constitution by Dr. Ambedkar. Because he said that no ideology should come into the Constitution. That was his remark then. Socialist, of course, was not there at all, but secular, for the word secular, he said that the religion itself is secular, the way of life itself is secular, the Indian way of life itself is secular. So there is no question of introducing a separate secular, it doesn't require an adjective. That was his argument during the constitutional debates. But anyway, much water has flown down the bridge. 1975, there was an emergency. 42nd Amendment was brought in, and our country became a socialist, secular, democratic republic. But whatever happened there, one point was not changed. That is equality of status and opportunity, and to promote them all. That is the thing of the secular meaning of secularity. And liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith. So religion is also included in the preamble. There can be no change in that. Now, some time back, I had written a poem on this. It's a long poem, but I thought that the first few lines would be apt for this talk that we are giving today. Why are we building temples, mosques and churches? Is it so that it can last forever? Or is it to bury the ruler's guilt, the builder's guilt, because he is lording over everybody? Why are we building these temples? Are we building it for the glory of the Lord or for our own glory? Today, if you talk about the big temple, everybody talks about Rajaraja Cholan. Nobody talks about the Murti there, the Shivaling there. Then why are we building this temple? Are we celebrating the God, or are we celebrating our soul which we have sold it for cash? So these are a few points that I had in mind, which I had written it in the form of a poem Just for interest's sake, I have put it on. The whole poem is still longer. And talking about temples and all that, first we must understand who we are. What does Hindu mean? What does Hinduism mean? What is Sanatana Dharma? Basically, a Hindu was a term given to designate people living on the Indus rivers. They were called Indus, I-N-D-U-S, Indus. Now the Persians, they didn't have they could not pronounce the word Indus, and in Persian it became Hindus. Sapta Sindhus became Hafta Hindus. Ha. So that is where the word Hindu originated. It designated the people living in and around the Indus rivers. What is Hinduism? Is it a religion? Now the Supreme Court has said that Hinduism is a way of life. It is not a religion. It is a way of life. And in my limited knowledge, I feel that Hinduism, this way of life, is a mixture of several philosophies, Shaivite, Vaishnavite, and so on and so forth, belonging to different parts of the country. And all of these, it is a mosaic of religion. That is what I would say. Hinduism is a mosaic of religion which comprises different philosophies, and everything was put together by the Veda Vyasa, who composed the first 4 Vedas, who compiled them, who put them in a regulated form. And that is the basis of our religion. And the common thread which runs through all these philosophies is the Sanatana Dharma. That is why we should say that the Sanatana Dharma is the religion of India. Those who follow Sanatana Dharma are Hindus, or those who practice this way of life are called Hindus. In a broader sense, all people living in and around Indus Valley or south of Indus Valley are all Hindus, irrespective of what philosophy or religion or faith they follow. And in that sense, this becomes a transnational way of life or a transnational religion, because even a person sitting in, say, Congo River Basin, he can follow this particular way of life, and he will also be called a Hindu. He will not even have seen India, but since he is practicing the way of life, it will be called an Hindu. And most surprising thing is, in South America, we have got people who were practicing this way of life. Incas of Peru, the Mayas, they all had temples dedicated to the sun worshipping, just like what we have in Andhra, Konark temple in Orissa. So this was an universal religion, a universal way of life. And since it did not depend on, and Sanatana means that which has got no beginning. And if there is no beginning, how can there be any end? This is what Kanchi Mahaperival also said. Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana means that which has no beginning and that which has got no end. And added to that, Dharma. Dharma has got its root from the word Dri, which means that which holds together. So what Sanatana Dharma means? That which holds people together.
Wonderful.
So it is an inclusive religion. It is not that if you don't believe me, you are damned. If you don't believe me, you go to hell. It is not like that. It is an inclusive religion. It only means that you have to live in a way which will hold you together. That means that tolerance is inculcated in that way of life itself. Then why do we require another adjective?
Yes.
This is the reason why the Constitution did not include the word secular in our original draft. People who do not understand this basic element of Hinduism or Hindu way of life or of the Sanatana Dharma, they will make such mistakes. And that is what has happened. And once the word secular has been introduced, every person now wants to call himself secular, and the only way that they can call themselves secular is denigrate the way of life that they are leading so long, denigrate the way of life that their ancestors were living for so long. It is not that this way of life was there for the last 200 years, 300 years, 500 years. It has been there for thousands of years. In fact, Indian civilization, 2 days back, it has been estimated and it has been confirmed that civilization started in India. After they have found out an archaeological site which predates Harappan civilization. So when I say that I have got thousands of years of this way of life, why do I require another adjective called secular? And incidentally, what are temples? In the original Sanatana Dharma, whoever could make a small Agni Kund, that is the Agni Kund in which the oblations are given every day. So wherever you make an Agni Kund, that becomes your temple. Structures were not required. But at some point in time, when people started settling down in places, this Agni Kund, this small Agni Kund which was placed wherever they were, became nodal points where people could gather together to pray to God. And that is how the temples they started building temples. And these temples were built by people who exhibited signs of godliness. People say that Hindus have 33 crores of gods. Sorry, sir, it is not 33 crores of gods. It is just 33 aspects of gods. Because 33 koti, the word koti does not mean crores. The word koti typifies the 8 vasus, the rudras, and the indriyas. And they are all 33 in number. And each aspect, for example, if a person shows one aspect of this indriya or vasu or rudra, then the people acclaimed him as a super person, a superman, and he was worshipped as a god. So the deities that we worship, Kartikeya, Rama, Krishna, these people were people who exhibited some aspects of godliness. And that is why they are considered as gods. And that is why when temples are built, such gods are placed there. And it is not just placed there. They are consecrated. It is built according to specific rules or Agama Shastras. It is built as per the Shastras. And once the deity is placed there, a thing which is prana pratishta is given. That is, the life is given to that statue by mantras, by slokas. And once that is given, that will attract people. So the deity becomes almost, it is a representative of a living being. And that is the reason why the deity was recognized as a juristic person by even the Supreme Court of India. There they said that the temple where a deity is installed by this prana pratishta, then that deity has got all the rights of a juristic person, that is, they can hold property, they can buy property, they can sell property, and they can be represented in court by a friend, a devotee. Even today, Dr. Reddy Swamiji, when you go to Sabarimala, when you go to just before you climb the 18 steps, you will see the Gaja Stambam over there,
Yes.
temple Stambam pillar over there.
Yeah.
And on that it will be written Tattvamasi, I am that. That is the first thing when you'll see when you go to Swamimala. And there, Ayyappan is waiting to see you. Because Ayyappan considers you as a Swamiji after that 48 days of vow, 48 days of this thing. Ayyappan says, you are also a Swami, I am also a Swami, you are coming to my house, I am waiting here to receive you.
Wonderful. 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 Tattvamasi.
Tattvamasi. I am that. I am you. I am what I am. That is the entire thing. When I say that, then automatically another issue also comes. If somebody comes into my house, isn't it my privilege to receive him or not to receive him? I can't open my doors and say, everybody come in.
Yeah.
I can only say, those who are on my same wavelength, only you can come in.
Yeah.
And even when we go as a guest to somebody's place, we purify ourselves and go there.
Yes.
That is why this 48 days of vow is present. Unfortunately, the judges, the Supreme Court judges did not appreciate this point when they declared the deity as a juristic person. They did not appreciate the fact that the juristic person also has got a right to privacy.
Wonderful. 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 Beauty. Beautiful.
This is the reason, because of this reason, they made errors in that Sabarimala judgment.
Swami.
It is my
Facebook.
right to receive people into my house. And if I say that this is the way that I want people to come, that is the way people should go there if they want to go there. If you don't want to go there, don't go there. That's all.
That's it.
But you can't say, I will go there because it is a public place. You can't say that there is discrimination being practiced there. And whatever you give to Swami Ayyappa, it may be cash, it may be land, it may be jewels, it may be anything. It may even be a coconut filled with ghee or even a plain coconut. Or nothing is available with you, you are you don't have anything to give. The word, Swamiji, I bow to you. That is enough for Ayyappa. All that belongs to the deity and not to anybody else. The
Swamiye
pujari does not
Sharanam
have-
Ayyappa. Because Swamiye Sharanam Ayyappa. Sharanagosha
That is
Priyan.
enough.
Sharanagosha Priyan.
That is enough.
That's enough.
That is enough.
Wow, wow.
That is more than enough.
Da, da.
And that
Hey, Swami, Facebook beto.
no pujari or no policeman or no Devasanam board member has got any right over it. It belongs only to Swami Ayyappa.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
In contrast, this is a Hindu temple that I am talking about. And this applies to all the temples all over India, whether it is Swami Ayyappa in Kerala, whether it is Tirupati in Andhra, whether it is Kalahasti in Andhra, whether it is Srisailam, whether it is Obada Madam, whether it is
Yadagiri Gutta,
Govindeshwara, whether it
Yadagiri
is
Gutta or Yadadri.
Ahimsa,
Yadagiri Gutta or Yadadri.
Badrinath,
Yes.
or even Kamakhya temple in Assam,
Yes.
wherever it is, the same rules apply.
Wonderful.
If you want to go to the temple, you have to go there in the manner that the deity wants to receive you.
That's it. Wonderful.
That is why even if a
Hey, Swami,
Hindu
Facebook
goes
petpo?
to Golden Temple at Amritsar, he wears that
Scarf.
cloth over his head. Yes, scarf over his head and goes inside.
Yes.
Because that is the way that Guru Granth Sahib wants to see you.
Yes.
You can't say that it is my right or my fundamental right that you are violating and all that.
Yes.
And this way of life does not stop you from going anywhere.
Yes.
If you think that you can find a peace in a church, go ahead, go and worship in a church.
Yes.
This religion does not say don't go to the church, don't go to the mosque.
Yes.
There also you have the Sanatana Dharma, person following
Facebook
Sanatana
పెట్టిండా
Dharma, he sees
Facebook
Dharma
పెట్టిండ్రా?
even there.
లేదు.
And
ఏం చేయాలి
in a
చెప్తే కూడా
mosque or a
గాబరైతుంది
church,
సాక్ష్యం.
these are not places of worship.
Yes.
Whereas a Hindu temple is a place of worship where a deity is kept, where a living, where the deity is a living representative, is a representative of a living being, and you worship him because there is a set customs in that. But as far as a church or a mosque is concerned, they follow the Old Testament of the Jews, even though Muslims will not accept it. Islam and Christians have come from the Old Testament, which is the Jewish religion. Even in Quran, Jesus is a prophet. Jesus is mentioned several times in the Quran. And Jesus was a rabbi. He was a Jewish priest who went against the temple people because they were not following the holy book. And it is for that he was crucified. Okay, that's a different story. I will not go into that. But churches and mosques do not have a deity because according to the Old Testament, God cannot be represented. You cannot build a image of a God. So even today in a church, if the Christ, picture of a Christ or a statue of a Christ is put, it is against the religion. It is against Christianity. They can't worship Christ like that. Because the Old Testament, the 10 commandments of Moses very clearly says, the first commandment is, thou shalt not make a graven image of myself. Which means you cannot have a statue. Full stop. No more arguments. Islam follows that. Christianity doesn't follow it, even though they should be following it. So, churches and mosques are places of congregation where people gather together to pray. And any place, wherever they gather, it can be in their homes, it can be on the terraces, it can be on the road, like most of the people do. It can be even in a railway station or a mall. Wherever they pray, for the time of prayer, that place is a mosque or a church. Not after that, not before that. It is a place of worship only as long as they do the prayer. This is what the holy books say. Now, let us come to our constitution. This I have just given you a brief introduction about what why temples are built, what is the basis of our this thing. Now, interpretation of the constitution. Is it interpretation or arrogation of rights by the Supreme Court? That is what we want to debate today. Article 14, 25 and 26 of the Constitution are very clear. Article 14 says equality before the law. It says that the state shall not deny to any person before the law the equal protection of the law. There is prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion. The first word is religion, then race, then caste. Or in other words, there can be no discrimination on the grounds of religion. So when the government says that we will take over the temples, but leave out the mosque and the churches. Isn't that discrimination on the grounds of religion? It is against Article 14. Then freedom of conscience and free profession and practice of religion and propagate religion. So freedom of conscience, free of profession, that means I can worship. This is right to worship. Article 14 and Article 25 gives me the right to worship the deity as I feel he should be worshipped. I can sit before a tree and worship the tree. That is my right. The Constitution permits me that right. Today, if as a worshipper, I say that I build a temple, I do a prana pratishtha, and as a builder of the temple, I say that certain rules are to be followed for the worship of this God, then that rules are to be followed. Then Article 26 is more interesting. It is freedom to manage religious affairs subject to public order, which means I have got the right to manage my temples. Where is the question of government coming in and taking over the temples? So where did all these things happen? Where did we go wrong? Can your belief be regulated in democracy? If I call myself a democracy, can I tell Dr. Reddy, no, don't go to Sabrimala, don't wear a beard? If you wear a beard, I will arrest you as a terrorist. Can I discriminate you? No. If you think that wearing a beard and fasting for 48 days, it is your choice. It is your fundamental right. I don't have any say on that. On one hand, the Supreme Court says right to privacy or the right to be left alone. That is what privacy means, right to be left alone with your own belief, with your own ideas, within your own space, as long as you don't disturb anybody else. You have that fundamental right. That's a primordial right. That is not even a fundamental right. That is a primordial right which is God-given. It is not man-given. And when I say it is God-given, nobody else has got any right to restrict it or constrain it. And this is the bedrock of our Constitution. If you interpret it in any other way, then you are arrogating yourself over the Constitution, which is a violation of the Constitution itself. In the beginning, Supreme Court said, even before the Supreme Court came into being, even in 1863, when Great Britain was ruling us, they passed an act called the Religious Endowments Act in 1863. And there they handed over the temples to the Mutt authorities to asking them to run it. Even Britain was not willing to run the temples, even though they were looting us left, right and center. Even they had that decency to say that the temples are to be managed by the Mutts or the religious authorities of that area. And he did not believe in Hinduism
Facebook పెట్టినవా
or the Sanatana Dharma. And in 1887, there was an interesting case of the Dakor temple. And it was there that the British judge said that the Hindu idol is a judicial person. That is the place where an identity was given to the idol. It is not our people or the Supreme Court which gave it to that in India. In free India, in democratic India, that was restricted. They gave a different interpretation to that. That is the sad state. In the Sabarimala case, Justice Chandrachud, our present Chief Justice of India, he said that deities have property rights but not fundamental rights. Or in other words, the Supreme Court is now telling that certain people have certain rights, certain people do not have those rights. Is this an interpretation of the Constitution or allegation of the Constitution? Because the Constitution clearly says that without discrimination, everybody has got that right. So when I say that a person is a judicial person or a juridical person, then the fundamental rights, he is also entitled to the fundamental rights which can be exercised by him. So if you look at it in that sense, if a deity says right to privacy, yes, that is applicable to him. That is applicable to the deity. It is not a public place. Legislators, in the Shirur Mutt case, the Supreme Court said assemblies can regulate administration of temples and religious these things. They can regulate it by saying, okay, you have to maintain such and such a book, or you have to maintain such and such a, you have to follow certain safety precautions. Yes, they can put regulations on the administration of the religious bodies, but they cannot pass laws which allow secular authorities to administer the religious bodies. They can't ask third parties to administer religious bodies. You can pass a law to regulate the administration, but you cannot administer them directly. There can be no law which will empower any secular authority. Here is the word secular. And this was given by a Kerala High Court ruling, a full bench High Court ruling. There cannot be a law which will empower any secular authority to divert trust money, because the religious endowment trust, every temple is managed by a trust. And no statute or power can empower any secular authority to divert trust money for purposes other than for which the trust was formed. Or in other words, whatever offerings you give to the temple, you are giving it in the belief that it will be used to maintain the temple, to provide facilities for the devotees who are coming to the temple, and for feeding poor people, annadanam, poor people who are coming to the temple. For that it can be used. But you can't use that money to fund a church or a mosque or some other secular thing. This is the meaning of that ruling. And finally, today a bill was filed sometime back, some months back, and while going through that, hearing that petition, Supreme Court has said, because that bill said government control over temples should be removed. And when discussing that, the judge said, if we do that, we will be rolling back 150 years of work that has gone. I am saying, my lords, you are ready to ditch thousands of years of ancient usages and customs in the temple. What is 150 years? Why are you bothered about 150 years when you have abandoned the thousands of years of usages and customs? And wealth, the money that belongs to the temple, now the court says that this wealth will have to go back to the society. Did society give them? No. It is only the devotees in a particular group of devotees in the society who have given it to the temple. And it is for those devotees to tell how the money is to be spent. Today, if today if Jagan Reddy says, take out money from Tirupati and build it, give it to everybody, is that the purpose? Tirupati is already doing that. Tirupati Devasanam is already running a university. They are giving scholarships. They are giving food to people, poor people. They have built universities in New Delhi also. They are ready to finance that also. It is not that they are not willing to do anything for society, but why should the government poke its nose into that? %30 of the money that goes into the temple fund, temple charity, 14%. 14% goes for administrative cost. Government is paying people to administer the temple at government rates. You have got a HRCE commissioner, minister, assistant commissioner, a chaprasi, 4 clerks, table, fan, AC, their latest cars, everything is financed from the money that we are giving to the temple. Is this why we devotees are giving money to the temple? To feed the government? 4% goes for auditing fees. 4%. Just imagine. How many companies give 4% of their turnover to the auditors? Is there any sense in that? 4 to 10% of that money goes to a commissioner common good fund. And what is that fund used for? It is used for government-run schemes for non-religious purposes. Now you know why I said Kamadhenu. This is the reason. That fund is to be used for the maintenance of the temple, for building facilities for the devotees, for feeding people who come there, for conducting festivals, and in times of distress, drought. The original idea of having such temples. I don't know if you have gone to Thiruvamarudhu temple. That is one temple that I visited where my father took me. And when he went to that, he showed me that temple outside. And he said that in times when the paddy was harvested, the entire corridor of the temple, 4 sides, was used to be filled with gunny bags full of paddy. And if there was a failure of crops or anything like that, people used to come to the temple to take that paddy for food. So it was used as a drought relief material also. It was used in times of emergency. The temple used to give that paddy and all that to the people. That is why it was collected there. That is why people gave it freely to the temple, because they knew that it will be used properly. Is the government doing that today? So this is the way that temples were run for thousands of years. Now suddenly in the last 70 years, the government says, you don't know how to run a temple, we will run it. They forgot that for the last 7,000 years, people were running temples and trusts. They had more, there was a fear of God in them. That is what kept them proper. Having said that, if that is the reason that government wants to take over temples so that they can administer them properly, why aren't they taking over the churches and Waqf boards? After all, they have got more money than we do. Has any government audited church funds? Today in Madhya Pradesh, the bishop is facing Prevention of Money Laundering Act. In Coimbatore, a bishop has been arrested for selling church land. When was the last time that the government took action against the church or audited their finances? The church is the biggest owner of land in Tamil Nadu. Not even the government. Has the church audited any of the church properties? No. Has the government audited any of the Waqf board properties? Today there is a case filed in Rajasthan court by a Muslim organization against saying that the Waqf board should not be given these powers of
Bunny,
administrating properties, that the government should look into it.
kitty boy chalka pa? Bunny,
So why are Hindu temples alone being singled out?
not only
Today-
that, Ravichandran ji, Swami, all of a sudden, the religious structures come up in between the houses. Who are funding them, how they are buying, and how they are converting. And if I give a classical example from where we are beaming the show, New Santosh Nagar colony, right opposite to new police station, that part of land also belongs to the colony. They have constructed that behind that land should have been given to the temple. But the existing temple, when the renovation work has been started, they are not allowing GHMC. And police comes and stops. See the mockery. It has been complained, and area MLA and corporate, they all belong to minority community. No such committee recommendations are here. Believe me, the roof, the tin sheets have taken off, rain, gutsy winds, and heat. The goddess is exposed, Maisamma Mahalakshmi temple. And the irony is, opposite to that and straight up, the residential areas have been converted into the other religious structures. How did they allow them? And from where the money is coming? That beats my intelligence. You come to Hyderabad these days, every nook and corner, new religious places all of a sudden. You don't understand this. This is mystifying. I have toured Pakistan, reported from Pakistan in 2006. I have never seen such type of bonhomie with religion and religious structures. So discriminating that you become a minority in your own backyard. Yes, sir.
So today, when you talk about minority and building of religious structures, Madras High Court has recently passed an order asking a temple to be closed down because it is posing law and order problems.
See,
So this is the way that the judiciary is working. Now, that is why I asked whether it's the interpretation of the constitution or arrogation of the rights.
law and order, who is causing every Friday or these prayers when they happen, the way they park the vehicles and the way they pray on the roads, who is causing? Madras High Court has to answer and Supreme Court has to take the call, including Hyderabad High Court. And daily morning till evening, they put amplifiers. They wake you up.
Which is supposed to be banned.
Supposed to be banned. And other religions cannot do. And in
You can't read a
competition,
Hanuman Chalisa over a microphone.
yeah, amplifier. See, if one does, the other one does. See, this way, if religious congregations go on playing through amplifiers, what will happen to the common man? My sleep is lost, my academics are lost, my children's studies are lost. There should be an occasion, a purpose. Yes, Swami.
Now, this is for reflection of the listeners of the channel. Our Hindu way of life has existed for thousands of years, and whenever change was required, changes happened. Now, do we require a legislation based on Western philosophies to tell us how to practice our faith? Because the entire system is based only on Western philosophy. Do we require Western civilization to tell us how to practice our faith when they were not even civilized when we were building temples? When did Western thought, philosophical thought come into being? probably in the 4th or 5th century. Before that, they had been borrowing from us. And today we have a judiciary which has got a mindset, which has got a liberal mindset. I don't know what is liberal about this. And how can they tell us how to run our temples and what we should do, how we should spend the money? What business do they have? Isn't it in violation of my articles 14, 25 and 26? Right to worship. Thousands of temples have been closed due to lack of funds. 50,000 temples in Karnataka alone have been closed. So instead of spending money on this, close to 30% of the temple collections are being spent on administrative expenses and providing cars for the government officers and providing pension and money for government officers. Is this why we are donating to temples? And when temples are closed or they are not restored properly, not maintained properly, why shouldn't I take the government to court telling them that they are mismanaging the temple? Because that is the reason that the government took over the temples in the first instance. Today, when they are mismanaging it, why should I permit them to continue with that? What right do they have over that? A private trust is running Padmanabha Swami temple. Private in the sense, government is not having a figure that. But isn't that Padmanabha Swami temple being run properly? So this is for the reflection of the viewers. Just think over this. The way that the constitution is being interpreted is not the way that it should be done. And they are doing it at our cost. You asked where is the money coming from? Money is coming from foundations, money is coming from the Vatican, money is coming from Saudi Arabia, money is coming from Qatar, and these are all not coming through normal channels. Christian money is flowing into NGOs through the embassies, foreign embassies. They are bringing money in the diplomatic pouch. Hawala money is coming in. So this is what I wanted to express today.
Wonderful, sir.
Now, I would like to, if you've got anything further to say on that, yes, I'll be happy to listen to that.
Yes. Let us come out of this presentation mode. I hope now the viewers' discretion is more solicited. Why? Because yes, very clear the Articles 14, Article 25 and Article 26, right to worship. How is that only Hindus are being targeted? How is that only Hindu temples are being taken over by governments? How is that only Hindu temple hundis or collections are being controlled by governments? How the hundis collection, the money from the temples are being spent on other things other than the religious activities, like maintaining the temples properly, seeing to that properly those who are there, the priests or other administrative staff, are helped with daily or monthly finances, and those temples which are getting closed, those are renovated. Why I say? Because every nook and corner, you come to Hyderabad, I will show you Malabar region. When you keep walking from Mangaluru and even Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, all of a sudden new religious structures, minority structures are coming up. How are they coming up? And how are our ancient old temples are getting closed? Can't Supreme Court or High Courts understand this? Is this not discrimination? Why are you allowing our funds to be looted? I am a devotee with some certain belief. I donate so that my belief related things are taken care of, because the same freedom is there for mosques and churches and otherwise. We don't get any funding from mosques or churches anywhere for other activities, other religion activities, I am saying. At times in emergencies, if they are coming forward, we welcome it, because we are humans after all. The great philosophy of India, unity and diversity. How do you look at this scenario, sir? I don't understand unity and diversity.
See, unity in diversity is what we have been practicing all along. That is the basic of Sanatana Dharma. That is inclusive. Everybody can have his or own belief. He must live in harmony with other people. That is the basic fundamental principle of this Dharma. So, I don't have any issues if somebody wants to believe in Jesus or somebody wants to believe in Allah or whatever it is. But I want to be left alone with my belief. That is what I want. Just as I accept it, I want my belief also to be accepted. I don't want anybody to criticize me for that.
Where do you think we are going wrong? Why courts are interpreting it in a different way?
Secular. That is a new word. We are here to please Western people. We are more concerned about what Joe Biden thinks or what Bill Gates thinks or what the Pope thinks. We are more interested in what they are thinking about us. That is why we say, okay, yes, whatever you do, whatever you do.
Then what about the BJP government since 2014? Right to worship.
Immaterial which government is in power. अरे कोई भी गवर्नमेंट हो, अभी तो मंदिर तो कामधेनु हो गया है.
Mandir has become a Kamadhenu to spill money, or you milch cow Kamadhenu, with due respects to our great cow. Unfortunately, the calf blood has been used by Covaxin for vaccine, and they are pumping it into your own blood. No one questions it. No Sanatana Dharma practicing gentleman blindly took the Covaxin vaccine. Likewise, monkeypox cells in Covishield and dead fetal cells in other vaccines. Without questioning, you have been taking. This is how we are branded. Is this branding disallowing us to understand our own dharma? Are we ourselves to be criticized? Branded, you are a socialist, you are a secularist, you are a liberal. You go to temple, liberal. You donate. Let that. Yes, sir.
If you don't talk about, if you talk about all these things, then you are branded as a fanatic, a radical.
They can
say that, oh yes.
They can talk about their religion. They can eulogize their religion. They can practice their religion various ways. Weekly once, the way they try to do everything. But once you sport something, you are branded as a communal. For how long you will take this? This is what.
How long you will take this?
For how long you will take this? Because don't lose your identity. Liberal, socialist, secularist doesn't mean that you should lose your identity. You are strong on your identity. See the irony of CPM government in Kerala. They don't believe in any faith. But you have an endowment minister headed by the communist. And they are heading our own endowment trust boards. How do you look at this scenario? And what is happening in DMK-led Tamil Nadu?
Equally bad. Equally bad. These people say that Dravidian ideology does not recognize God. Then what are they doing in sitting on the HRC board?
Why should those people in the governance, whether DMK or CPM in Kerala, or for that matter other whoever say, you are socialist, secular, we don't believe in any faith or religion, why should you try to boss over temples?
Correct.
A straight question to all of you, and including Prime Minister Modi, what is that you are doing from 2014, Mr. Prime Minister Modi and NDA government? Right to worship bill, how is that you are not still able to pass when you have such a majority? You can pass various other bills, right from demonetization, everything, but why the majority concerned right to worship bill still hanging in fire in parliament? And see how the courts are interpreting, whether it is local courts, high courts or Supreme Court. Article 14, 25 and 26, right to worship, is it not being discriminated? Why there is no debate? How can these political parties take us for a toss? Who are they? Political parties are our public servants. They are public servants. In a democracy, we need to have representatives to make laws either in the panchayats, municipalities, assemblies, or parliament. So that democracy process allows us to elect them. But they are not bosses. They are our servants. How is that servants are bossing over us? And servants are being ably assisted by these officials. Officialdom are there to just help them in administration. They too are public servants. The combination of public servants and then whether if they are not appropriately functioning as per the constitution, the courts are judiciary is supposed to interpret and should come in public interest. Am I right or wrong, sir? Then what is that they are doing?
Yeah. All right. Nothing. They are also joining them.
Then what should you do?
What should I do? Honestly, I don't know. That is why I have stopped going to temples. Simple. I even if I want to give something, I don't put it in the hundi. I give it to the pujari himself. At least let him go, because he is getting only 300 rupees or 500 rupees. If he were an Inam, he would get 5,000 rupees.
See,
if he were a priest, he will get 5,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees and a house to stay also. But he is an ordinary pujari, ordinary pandit. So he will get only 200 rupees or 300 rupees, and that also very reluctantly they will give. So if you want to go to a temple, please hand over the money to the pujari. Don't put it in the temple only. It is go to the government and go somewhere else.
So this is a new rule.
At least the pujari will take care to see that at least some oil is purchased or some prasad is given to the god on that day.
Nityam, Deepam, Dupam, Naivedyam are done by the poor pujaris, priests, and small fellows, administrators, small committees who are maintaining. So, as per our Ravichandran Swaminathan ji, after all the interpretations of Supreme Court and High Court, when the right to worship, Article 14, 25 and 26 are discriminated against Hindus, why should we donate? Why should we put money into hundis? Why don't you give straight to pujaris or someone who is maintaining the temples?
Yes.
At least that way they can survive. See, in Andhra Pradesh and everywhere they are giving monthly benefits to mosques, churches everywhere. Which money is that? Whose money is that? And why Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam, why TTD money should not be spent for the purpose it is meant? Why are you taking that money out for the administration? Why don't you take the same money from mosques and churches? Come on, take the money from mosques and churches, take the Waqf money, everything from them also. Start spending for government administrative purposes. Let Hindus also get benefited out of it. Can you do that? That is why this is an awakening call for all Hindus across India. Even PM Modi government is doing nothing when it comes to Right to Worship Act. Right from 2014 till 2022, what are they doing? Why they could not pass a bill when they daily they say Hindus are being targeted? Every minister, we are questioning every minister in BJP, NDA led government. What is that you are doing? Every BJP ruled state in India. Why did you pass this Right to Worship Act? If not, did you put a pressure on the NDA government? Did you question the High Courts or Supreme Court when they are interpreting, discriminating the Right to Worship Act against the majority Hindus? How come so many thousands of temples are getting closed? How come so many new mosques or churches are coming up? We are not against any religion. Again, I am telling you. We respect every religion. We want them to freely practice it. And we will celebrate their festivals. See our leaders, they wear this topi and everywhere they go and celebrate. But the same type of attitude, why we don't find it from the minority leaders or the people? Some they do, we salute them. But why majority are not having the same bonhomie feeling? Is it not because of these politicians and these court orders? And here again, what was the population of minorities during partition in 1947 in India? What is the percentage of population in Pakistan, Afghanistan, in Bangladesh? Bangladesh came out in 1971. What is the minority population there? And what are the minority population here in India? What are the rights of minorities in India? What are the rights of minorities in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan? What are the funds, education, colleges? How minorities are enjoying in India? Are the same minorities where we call Hindus, Sikhs or Jains in Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh, are they enjoying the same? When such is not the case, why and how long this discrimination in India? That is why the other side of the coin, all these secularists, you are trying to rake up these issues so that the BJP and India, they are benefiting. It is not the average Hindu. They are all pious minded people, peace loving people, tolerant people. But because of the politics being practiced by the so-called politicians, political parties, the other side of the coin rolled out in favor of BJP and India. We are questioning them. What did they do from 2014 to 2022? Where is the population control bill? What happened to Right to Worship Act? The social mechanism, social equijustice, even in Hindus, when it comes to SC, STs to the higher strata, why you could not integrate everyone? Is it not just for the sake of vote bank politics? Is it not just for the sake of only 1% of industrialists who are funding your parties? You are working for them. Now see our India government, after they came to power, even the political party fundies have become opaque now. Now you cannot have any information on which corporate company, whether it is Jio or Adani or someone, how much money they are giving to BJP or Congress or anyone. All political parties have become one here. No party is questioning. Electoral bonds are opaque. Anyone questioning? When political parties funding have become opaque, how is that you are taking the temple funds away? Am I right, sir?
Right.
So, the average Hindu.
You'll have to think about it. See, unless the complete population, society starts thinking about it, no solution can be arrived. And when we think about it, we have to think about it in a holistic manner. This country is, there is a diversity, and this country was united. I am not talking about united in the sense that 1947 everybody came together and all that. Even in 800 CE, poor sannyasi from Kerala, Adi Shankara, was able to travel all the way to Badrinath. He didn't carry any visas, he didn't ask any permission from anybody, he just walked. And he walked through the length and breadth of India. There were no restrictions on him. He did not have to pay any toll at any road. So, India was united earlier. India is united today also. The people are united. It is the governments which are trying to divide them on the basis of religion, on the basis of caste, on the basis of belief, on the basis of faith. It is the governments which are trying to divide them. And as a society, if we come together and tell the government, stop dividing us, then I think a lot of issues can be sorted out peacefully, amicably.
Wonderful. So this is a clarion call from here to all. Remember, in this valley, we are all one. Different faiths we may practice, but it has to be born in our mind. Ours is a rich, ancient civilization. Let us be proud of it. Let us preserve it. Just not get divided by the beliefs. That will not do good to anyone. That way we will be targeting our own selves. That insecurity in us, that insecure feeling in us, making us to say to ourselves, oh, I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I am a Christian. Why don't you say, I am a Hindustani, I am an Indian? Because that word applies to everyone. I only hope at least now the High Court or Supreme Court will understand what Article 14, 25 and 26, as clearly explained by Swaminathan Ravichandran Swamiji in regards to what the temple is all about. If you understand and what Sanatana Dharma is all about, such a beautiful way of a simple way, if you can connect all these quotes, interpretation of Hindu religion, Hindu way of life, Sanatana Dharma, Article 14, Article 25 and 26 becomes very convenient and very easy so that we can all live in peace and tranquility, upholding our great, rich Indus Valley civilization forever. And this is what we should pass it on to our younger generations. Believe, you have your own faith, you practice. Let us celebrate all festivals together. That should be the beauty in which, when we say unity and diversity, let us all come together on this day again to thwart the efforts of these political parties. They are public servants, these officials, they are pampered media. Let us not give in to them. Criminals are there everywhere. Don't attach religion to the criminal. Criminal is a criminal, come whatever may. Start treating that way. That is why the basic education is more important. The education should be mainstream education so that you can have the citizen called an Indian, not by religion, by faith, by caste or creed. That we will leave it at home. Let us all become united. This is a wonderful country. If not, our natural resources, right from earth to the sky, they are all looted because we are divided. And they become neo-rich. See, in 2020 till 2022, during pandemic COVID-19 time, you are suffering, Swaminathan ji is suffering, he has to close down his industry. I am suffering, but still I am trying to make a show by getting such wonderful minds like Ravichandran ji to sensitize, to give you correct information in spite of hardships, economical hardships. But the other side, our people are entering Forbes list. They are becoming rich and neo-rich. सोचिए, हम दब गए, लेकिन हमारे एक दो लोग तो अमीर हो गए. तो इस अमीर और गरीब सिलसिला में क्या हम इसी तरह मज़हब के नाम पर या कुल के नाम पर हम इस भेदभाव को बनाए रखते हुए हम लुट जाए? आप ही सोचिए, మీరే ఆలోచన చేయండి. కోవిడ్-19 సమయంలో, మహమ్మారి సమయంలో మనకు ఉపాధి లేదు, పిల్లల చదువులు బాయ్, ఉద్యోగాలు బాయ్, కానీ ఒకరిద్దరు పెద్ద ఎత్తున డబ్బులు సంపాదించి ఫోర్బ్స్ లిస్ట్లో ఎంటర్ అయినారు. ఇదే విధంగా మనం కులము మతము దీనిపై కొట్లాడుతూనే ఉందామా? మన సహజ వనరులు ఈ విధంగా దోపిడీకి గురవుతుంటాయి. మనను కొట్లాడించి వాడేమో అనుభవిస్తాడు, మనమేమో ఈరోజు COP27 చూస్తున్నారు కదా, పర్యావరణం వేడితో అకాల వర్షాలతో మనం అతలాకుతలమై మనం జీవనాలు పోయేటువంటి సమస్య. సో జస్ట్ థింక్ అబౌట్ యూ, అవర్ న్యాచురల్ రిసోర్సెస్ ఆర్ లూటెడ్, వీఆర్ ఎక్స్పోజ్డ్ టు సివియర్ ఫ్లడ్స్, changes in the temperature, weather. Common people will die. They become neo-rich by looting, by dividing us on religion, caste and creed. At least now we say, let us all together be one and let us make this place a heaven to survive. Live and let live and preserve something for your next generation too. Thank you very much, sir. Wonderful hosting you again. Swamiye Sharanamayappa. Do support DRTSPR channels, Citizen DRTSPR channel and Environment People DRTSPR channels. All are in public interest, but you need to fund us, you need to support us. Keep that in your mind. Again, before I say bye, I always say I am in this Ayappa Diksha, so this beard and everything, you have to bear me till I complete my Diksha, go on a pilgrimage and come back. Till that time, I always keep saying, Swamiye Sharanamayappa. Thank you, sir.
Shalom.